we put that pressure there thinking that we're going to write a book, it's going on the shelf, and it's immediately going to be a bestseller. That's not how it works. And so we go in with too high of expectation. So we have to keep that in check. Otherwise, things get out of balance.
NL Publishing Service Academy proudly presents Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast with literary success consultant DK Walker, sharing with you writing tips, marketing ideas, publishing information, and inspiring interviews for your author journey. So, without further ado, let's get right into it with DK Walker.
Hey, I'm DK Walker, and this is Listen Up. Jesus, right? Like, why did the brain be like, listen up what? It's been a long...
I'm DK Walker. That's all that matters.
Right. Okay, not a problem. So we're gonna run this from the top. Anyway, so hey, I'm DK Walker. This is Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast, the number one podcast for self-published authors. Joining me today is not a guest. She's here frequently, so we're going to say that she's my unofficial co-host. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jennifer to the room.
Thank you. I love coming on this show.
And we love having you. You take the burden off of me, to say the least. So what's new?
Oh, let's see. I'm working on my own podcast, Connected Conversations for Creatives. It's just a community podcast where we get together with a couple of other creative people and we have conversations about the impacts that our career choices have on us and just how to find the resources and to build a group of people that we can rely on, just to build community, basically. And also, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be starting revisions on my second book after they come back from beta readers. And so that should be a little time consuming, but a good thing. It's a good thing.
Right. Well, the link to your show will definitely be in our show notes. And once you get the feedback from your beta readers and whatnot, I hope it brings joy and smiles to your heart. And I'm pretty sure it will.
I think so. I've gotten a couple of feedbacks already, and a couple of them were like, it was very encouraging. I appreciate my beta readers, but one of them just really, she said all the things that I had already been thinking about the book and what needed to change. And so it was also nice to just have that validation that what I wanted to do in the future really soon was it was on par with what some of the readers were already thinking. So it's nice to have that feedback.
Cool. So with that being said, what else is new with you besides the writing aspect in your life, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh,
Or
sure.
if anything.
I don't know that there's a whole lot of anything. We had a conversation with my kid the other day about college, and I'm going, because she starts high school in the fall. And so we're starting to take into consideration post-high school stuff, and that just in an ice pick right through my heart because, oh my goodness, I'm not ready.
Oh my God. Yes, yes, right.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how your husband Rob feels, but you never want to see your little girl grow up.
Yeah.
And I know there are women out there where you got to let them go. Speaking from a man's perspective, and if I come across as a Neanderthal, please DM me. It's all right. I'll take that. But you like, when Marley was first born, I took her literally everywhere with me. I would come home from work, get in the shower, get her dressed, and Nikki would be asleep or just waking up out of a nap, whatever. And where y'all at? We just be wherever she wanted to go, we'd go. We stay at the mall. She was just literally my road dog. And like your daughter, mine is also about to start high school in this like the fall. I'm like, where does the time goes? Like,
I'm
where
telling
does
you,
it
and
go?
I don't even know. Like 13 years have gone by, and I'm going, have I done enough in 13 years? And I've only got 4 left to have her here all the time if she is going to go off to college right away. And she's been my ride or die for 13 years. Like, we've been at the hip almost 24/7 since the beginning because I was a stay-at-home mom. I'm a work-at-home mom. She's homeschooled. And so we are together constantly. And so I don't know. Rob loves it, because they have their own special things, but I think I'm the one that will struggle more than he will. But he also left home at 16. Like, he went off to a magnet school at 16 and lived away from home in dorms at 16. And that hit to him, that's part of life's adventure. And I'm like, don't go.
So how do you plan to, like, I hope that day takes as long as it should, but how do you plan to fill that void once she decides to at least tiptoe out of the nest?
Do you know, that is a great question, because there are days that because I do work at home and we are home together all the time, there's still time where I feel like I'm neglecting her, and I'm not. Like, I'm we that kid's got the life, if you ask me. Like, she's got the life, and but I think there will be a lot less mom guilt on the whole "I work from home but can't talk to you all the time" front, because she doesn't wanna talk to me all the time, but when she does, there are times where I'm like, "Hey, mommy's busy," or whatever, and so I think I don't know how much will change. I might make more trips to wherever she goes off to college. I don't know. We'll see.
That sounds about right. Yeah, that definitely. I don't know if she's going far, but it sounds like you're about to get your frequent flyer miles up, to say the least, right?
That's right. That's right. We'll
Join
see. We'll see.
join the club. And it's crazy. We're talking about how time is flying and whatnot, and being
Mm.
self-published authors. It's almost about to be April. Like, we're looking at the fourth month of this supposedly new year. Where does the time go
Gosh.
to?
I
Like,
feel like
where?
it was like just yesterday that we were having our first conversation. I feel like it has not
Facts.
been that long, but oh my goodness, what have we done since then?
A lot,
It's
right?
crazy.
And we've got a lot accomplished, because we said that we're doing major things in March. We've done that, especially you. We've turned that corner, and now April is right there. So it's wow. And with that, you have to think like there has to be some type of dread that comes along with the mounting pressures of being a self-published author, and
Mm.
time is fleeting. So that segues into the topic of our conversation, not how to deal with the pressures of being a self-published author without burning out. I'm gonna ask you that question. First of all, second of all, we're going to actually give you the remedy for that, what we believe that to be, but we're gonna like dive into what may cause that. So I'll ask you, what do you believe that brings the most pressure to you as a self-published author?
Honestly, a lot of it is just creating an imbalance in my own life, personal, work, whatever, social, like, and that's it. That is the key to avoiding burnout, right? Is finding the balance in all the areas of life that you have going on. And that looks different for every person, right? But
Mm-hmm.
having the balance, because you have to also have balance between what you need to do, what you have to do, what you want to do. There has to be a balance. And then that, if you think of it like a foundation, and then you have all these pillars, which would be like your work and your home and your social and finances, faith, whatever, however many pillars you have holding up the roof of your house. Like, you, without a good balanced foundation, and I can tell you some stories about some foundations, like we just recently have had some serious foundation issues, and it's amazing how much stability is found when you firm up that foundation. We bought a farmhouse. Parts of it are over 100 years old, I guess almost 5 years ago. And just recently, it was last month, we discovered some cracks in some tiles, and we were like, huh, that's odd. And then a little while later, we were like, water's not draining. And it had to do with, there was a foundation issue that if we had let it go on, the foundation specialist told us if we had let it go on just another week, like, the entire center of our house would have collapsed. And I know it's crazy. It was like putting pressure on a pipe, and it wasn't, anyway, it was wild. And a lot of money later, that foundation was shored up. And it was amazing that all the places in the house that were no longer, you walk and things shake on the shelves or whatever, they weren't doing that anymore. And it was because we had found the balance that we needed. And so I think that can be applied to life. And that's where I always go back to, is finding that balance in all of the areas, which may mean giving something up, which I don't like to do because I feel like I'm failing at something, but sometimes it's got to happen.
Learn how to write faster, conquer writer's block, and tell a story your readers will love. In less than 1 month, writing only 3 pages daily, you can go from book idea to manuscript using the unfair writing advantage. Most authors take 8 months on average to write just one book. But in a fraction of that time, you will learn how to craft a book your readers will love and not be hunched over your laptop days on end to do so. Just go to www.theunfairwritingadvantage.com to see what has the self-publishing industry buzzing. Now back to the podcast.
True, true, true. Very true. That's a great story to look at in actual what's going on into your house, and mirror that to within what's needed with self-publishing authors today. Do you think self-publishing authors actually put that undue pressure upon themselves?
I think sometimes yes, and especially new ones. I know that, and when I say new ones, I'm still, in my opinion, a new self-published author. I've got one book that's out. I've only got one more book and getting ready for publication, and it's been what, 2 years, I guess, like total. So I am still new and learning all of the ropes, and I don't know if I will ever learn all of the ropes. I don't want to learn all of the ropes. I'm hoping eventually I have people pulling some of those ropes for me later on. But some of them, yes, I think we put on ourselves because we put that pressure there thinking that we're going to write a book, it's going on the shelf and it's immediately going to be a bestseller. That's not how it works. And so we go in with too high of expectation. So we have to keep that in check. Otherwise, things get out of balance.
Facts. And it's crazy. Like we the short time that we've been doing this, I promise you, you're reading my mind here, right? I do think that's one of the things that self-publishing authors do. They put unrealistic goals upon
Mhm.
themselves. I guess they're from the old school of if they build it, they'll come, right? Instead of in
Mm,
their shoes, if they'll write it, they'll come. That's not, like you said, that's definitely not what it is. A lot of times they put the non-important work before the very important work. And what I mean by that is, yes, you have to write a good book. But I think when you're a new author, you're shooting for the stars. You want to write the perfect best book. Your audience does not expect that from you. They just want a
right.
book that they can get through and want to read again. They don't expect you to be great or better into your third, fourth, fifth book down the road. They want to see growth. You want to take your readers a longer journey and they're growing with you. And I think a lot of that pressure comes from authors, like they put so much emphasis on writing that perfect book. And realistically, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing for self-published authors is marketing. That has to be, and speaking of balance, that has to be the imbalance. You have to do more
Mhm.
marketing or learning how to market than you write, right? In doing so, like, it's easier to market an okay book than to not know how to market a great book. There's so many authors out that I don't want to throw anybody underneath the bus, but there's so many books that's been sold millions and they were average at best. Why? Because they had great marketing. So, like authors, you have to stop holding yourself to such a high bar. Like, just get the book out and really hone every free moment that you get. Apply that towards marketing.
And I think that marketing is one of those big things that I definitely didn't plan for because, like I said, I came into it going, okay, I write a book and then people just immediately find it. And that's because I didn't know better, right? I don't, how else would somebody know about it? Because I told people about it and I posted about it, but it was really only 2 weeks before the publication date that I started. With that, I would say that yes, marketing is a huge part of it. Also, you need to start way in advance before you even hit the upload manuscript button and start driving it home that, hey, I've got a book coming out, this is what it's about, and find your audience before you even put the book out and give them something to look forward to. And that's, I think that is also where some of the overwhelm comes in the right now for me, is trying to play catch up on a game that I probably came in far too late on. That's not to say all hope is lost. That just means that for book two, I'm starting a slightly different plan of attack when it comes to marketing. And do I have all of that nailed down yet? Nope. But I still have several months before it's even going to be available. But yeah, I think marketing is a huge part of it and can cause the imbalance that can lead to burnout because you start spinning your wheels really hard and you don't go anywhere. And then you're like, what am I doing wrong? And it may not be you. It probably is, but it may not be you. It may be that you're doing all the right things, just in all the wrong places. It could be a
Right.
number of variables that kind of impact that. But yeah, I would agree. Marketing is a huge source of one, burnout, but also where you're going to find the majority of your success.
Oh, most definitely. If I can share with you what I believe to be a hack that can like really help self-publishing authors that wait until the end to do the most needed stuff. So they put the emphasis on writing first, and then they do all the
Mhm.
stuff that they know they need to do at the end. And the reason that they have poor results marketing wise because they actually save it to the end, right? And they're dreading it, and that's that more pressure upon them. So you can kill a few birds with a couple of stones. And here's how. Maybe you'll take this advice, or maybe somebody that's listening to the sound of my voice when they hear this podcast will take this advice. Stop what you're doing. If you got a work in progress that's 60 pages, 50 to 60 pages, put out a short ebook. you're going to kill a couple of birds with just putting out. And I know you honed in on your current work in progress, but if you have something that you can touch up a little bit, you will put that out. You will accomplish a couple of things like this. Or you'll be able to sell your current work in progress by putting out that ebook, and you can grow your email marketing list by doing so in the process. And you're not waiting to the end. Now, when you get ready to upsell your current work in progress, you already have people that's willing to buy your book, because you're doing that as you're writing, instead of trying to find your tribe, trying to find your target
Mhm.
market towards the end. That's one way. And people think, isn't that more work? It's more work, but you're only doing it just one time. Because once you have that, your email marketing, people on your email marketing list, pardon me, once you have them, only thing you have to do is cultivate them. You don't have to go and find them again. And so some people were like, I could just give that away for free. But if you give if you give your ebook away from free, what you're doing is you're training them to get something free from you and not buy. And so you can actually, oh, I know you'll buy from me. So once somebody's buy something, the best time to sell somebody something, pardon me, is when they just bought something from you. And by you selling by you selling your ebook, they'll buy from you. So you can pretty much count and dictate what your launch sales is going to be.
Absolutely, and that is definitely one path down that but something that I have also picked up on is if you're writing, it depends on what you're writing and what you're publishing. A lot of readers, like if you're an avid reader, like I'm a Kindle Unlimited junkie. Like I will pretty much read anything that pops up as this. Oh yeah, you think I should read that? Absolutely, I'll read that. You know what, good or bad. I may or may not finish it, but I'm going to read it. And if I really love it, I'm going to get the bonus epilogue at the end, which immediately puts me on somebody's mailing list because I want to hear the bonus epilogue. I want to know, what have you done? Have you ruined their lives? Have you made them happily ever after? Whatever. Or something that I do is I offer, because yeah, Amazon does offer the look inside the book thing, that, and I think we've talked about that before. But
Hmm.
also there are places where you can offer up the first two chapters of your book for free or whatever, and people will have to sign up in order to read the first two chapters, and then you have their email. I think that yes, focusing on an email list regardless of what you're sending out is massive, especially with all of the things coming down the pipeline that may or may not impact social media, whether or not we have access to our platforms for much longer, however that may
Right.
look. Email lists are going to be a massive tool that we need to make sure that we are taking good care of.
Writing your manuscript has been hard enough, so let NL Publishing Service Academy make self-publishing your book easy as possible. From beautifully designed full and ebook covers to uniquely done typesetting and formatting, our goal is to professionally enhance your manuscripts and book covers to give your readers the best reading experience possible. Need marketing tips, tactics, and strategies? We can help you with that. How about branding and broadening the reach of your author platform? Yep, we can help you with that too. So no matter what your self-publishing needs are, NL Publishing Service Academy has you covered. Just head over to www.nlpublishingservices.com for whatever your self-publishing needs are. And now back to the podcast.
Oh, to say the least, and I'm definitely glad that you brought that up. Anybody that's built their foundation on, and I'm not knocking the hustle, because we get lulled into a false sense of security, and we believe that these things will be here forever. But unless you own, I didn't say Mark Zuckerberg or whomever else, unless you, DK Walker,
Mhm,
unless you, Jennifer Carr, own
mhm.
these platforms, that means we're at the mercy of somebody else
Yep,
at any given time. So
yep.
authors, whether it be email lists, whether it be text messaging, you have to find a way to cultivate your readers. That's your most valuable asset. And like I
Mhm,
said earlier, once you do that, you're only doing that one time. You're not always, of course, you make your email list grow, but you're not putting down that same system in place to capture. You do it once and then you
mhm,
continue to grow it from there. So it would behoove any self-publishing author to, one of the ways I think both of us will agree upon, to lessen that doggone stress, is to actually cultivate your buying market as soon as possible.
mhm. At 100%, yes. And honestly, we could do a whole podcast on newsletter building and database building. I'll just share just off the top of my head why, and with some numbers, why it's important, in my opinion, to have a newsletter list. I think I add between 2 to 5 subscribers to my newsletter a week, which is, and I send it out once a month. I do not send it out regularly other than once a month. Like it will go out on the first. If I have special news that I want to share, I'll send something extra. But once a month, first of the month, my newsletter goes out. I add 2 to 5 people to that list every week. And I've only had 2 unsubscribe in the last month. And so I'm adding more than I'm losing. And
Right.
that those people are, yes, they can choose not to read my email, but the statistics say that I send the email, they click on it and they read it. And I'm guaranteed those readers over a social media post, like where they can just be like, whoop, I didn't see that. Sorry.
You're not a slave
Yeah.
to anybody's algorithm. In
Mm.
your opinion, what are some other ways, pardon me, that self-published authors suffer from being overwhelmed?
Ah, goodness. A lot of times, and I know for me, this is for me, especially as a mom who is at home with her kid. And I know that's true for a lot of self published authors. They are women, they are moms, and their kids are young and or school aged, and so they're home a lot but not during the day. But a lot of us who are moms, we and wives who have responsibilities at home, finding that time where we can get lost in our imaginations, where we can do all the administrative work. I am blessed beyond measure to have a husband who is, I support your dreams 100%. He's hoping that we hit it big so through my work so that he can come be the at-home farmer dad. That's his goal. Like his goal in life is for that to happen. So he's going to support me one way or the other. But and even if that doesn't ever happen, right? If all I continue making is $2.73 a week because two people read my book a week, whatever, he's still going to support my dream.
Too
But to find that balance between work life and home life, and knowing that it's okay to hide away and get lost in your imagination for a few minutes a day or a couple of hours a day, or until the job is
oh,
done a day, whatever you need to do, not feeling guilty about that if this is what you are meant to be doing.
Oh, 1,000%. You have to recharge your creative juices, right? Think about it. Everything that comes from us comes from our mind. If we're always
Mhm.
go create admin stuff, you are guaranteed to burn out. You definitely have to factor in scheduling, I should say, rest time. Or just head in the clouds time. You definitely have to factor that in. And that sounds crazy coming from me because, and let me be totally transparent here. Previous podcasts, I would be like, look, the job ain't done, so the job ain't done. Cry later, right?
Mm.
But as I get older, I understand that I was less productive because I wasn't well rested.
Mhm.
So when my eyes start to burn, when I can't read any letters anymore on the computer screen, when I'm snapping at the doggone wife, and, what I mean, when my daughter comes down, she look at me like, yeah, I wish she would yell at me, right? When the dog comes in barking and I bark back at the dog, then that's clear telltale signs to go grab the remote control and go lay down on the couch and let the TV watch me for a couple hours, right? But I had to understand that rest is a very strong component in being productive, to say the least. Now, it took me a minute to get there, right? Because I would like, and it's crazy. As I give this advice, I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. I've been up, and I don't even work. It's Sunday. As of this recording, I don't work today. But I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. But yeah, as soon as it's done, I promise you, I'm going to have dinner. I'm going to grab this remote control. I'm going to get in the corner of this couch. I'm going to slide my feet up on this ottoman. Yeah, and I probably wake up and it'll be 12 o'clock, and I go to bed. But I've started to learn that rest is important. Without it, not only being productive writing wise, just health wise, right? You have to charge your batteries as a whole, because without rest, your body will start to tell you like, hey, we can only sustain this but for so long.
Mhm. Absolutely, and without sleep, like, your brain prioritizes other body functions other than your imagination. If it's not rested, it's no, you have to keep yourself physically alive. Your imagination doesn't matter right now, so if you're not resting, you creativity pretty much goes down the drain. So, yes, you have to be well rested in order to, and that's hard. It is, I get it. There's all, especially if you have kids in sports and kids in school and kids in band or whatever the case may be, like, there are just so many things that we give our time to that we sometimes forget that we are in need of our own time by ourselves in the quiet.
True. So, how do you tell family, friends, loved ones that this is my time without feeling bad for saying so? And I'm wrong because I asked you, and I'm gonna answer the question I asked you. I should be a gentleman. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. But I had to realize that they'll be all right for a couple hours. I just had
Mhm.
to realize, like, as long as it's not an emergency, I have to do this. Like, I was going this morning. I went to the grocery store. Been up since 3. I worked until 6:30, 7 o'clock. Went groceries, came for the groceries in the house. Had very light breakfast, came back downstairs. Nikki and Marley finally came down. I went up, interacted 5, 10 minutes. Marley was like, hey, we don't see you. Can you sit? And I'm looking like, no, I can't. And then she hit me with the sad boo boo face. And I'm like, please, I don't work no more. I'm broke now because of that face. So I came downstairs and went back to work. Now, you can vilify me all you want to, but when she gets older, because she can cook her butt off, right? She
Mhm.
fancies herself a soon to be chef. And if she's serious or maintains that, she's going to be faced with telling her kids, telling her significant other, I got to go do this. And then
Yeah.
she'll put herself in my shoes, and then she'll understand. I don't expect her to understand now, right? And my wife, she works from home, she has her own business. She definitely understands. But it's just, I don't care what you're doing. Come, man, you'll be all right. So, anyway, I pose that question to you now.
And I think a lot of it and it's a word that we throw around, but we have to prioritize, right? Everything has a priority level, whether it's our relationships at home or our relationships outside of home. And I will just say that when we got married 19 years ago, Rob and I got married 19 years ago, and it became us. Like, we were the priority over anybody outside of our home, because that's what's supposed to happen, right? Like, we became our own
Right?
family unit, and our family came first for us. If it was something and so that has always been the mentality. Now, if somebody needs something and we can help, or we can be there, we can be present, we're not going to say no just because we don't want to. That's not how we function. We moved here where we live to be close to his family so that we can be there to help when we're needed. But that's always been an understanding, was that we have this buffer around. And then we had Hayes, and our family became three, and so then she became part of that bubble as well. Like, we have boundaries for a reason, so you have to prioritize and you have to set boundaries. And if, especially family, oh my gosh, especially family, but if people can't respect those boundaries and they can't respect your priorities, they probably don't belong in your bubble anyway. You know what I
Well,
mean?
1,000%. Because
Mm,
what happens is when a person asks you to do something, you say yes, they never ask you why you said yes. They never like, why
mm,
did you agree to, right? But if you tell them no, they'll ask you,
mm.
why did you tell me
Why?
no? Right,
Why?
right, right. Like, why? Oh, last time I checked, no was a full answer of no,
Yes, sir.
period. Full answer.
Mm-hmm.
It just yes. If I'm affirming what you want, that's a full answer. If I'm denying what you want, that's a full answer as well.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that.
That's
Mm-hmm.
somebody passed the
Mm-hmm.
collection plate.
Preach. Mm-hmm.
What are some of the ways that self-publishing authors can avoid burnout when it comes to not getting as many book sales right away? Because what happens is we do this massive load of work, and then we always check our stats and nothing. And you crossed every T, you dotted every I, you email list is full, pre-orders was good, that had its running. Now you want to go behind that and nothing's percolating. You're like, I can't believe I'm getting so little on my ROI for all the work that I put
Mm,
in. I think, well, I know that because of what it looks like in the beginning, that burnout comes because of that, because you don't feel fulfilled because you
mm,
have nothing to show for it yet.
mm. So a lot of times we we take a no as a final answer. Yes, and it is an answer. It's a full sentence. Stop. But because we're selling, right? That's what we're doing. We're selling ourselves, we're
We
selling our
are.
work, all that. We take no as that's personal, and it's me they're rejecting, and they'll never buy what I'm selling. And we stop trying. That's where
Mm.
we find ourselves hating on ourselves or feeling depressed, whatever. We have to understand that it takes 7 approaches before someone might even consider. This is true for sales in general. Like, it 7 no's is nothing. Once you get past that, you might get a maybe or an I'll consider it. So to prevent burning out and feeling like you're done for, keep doing what you're doing, especially if it worked in the beginning, right? Like, you were
Right,
having an
right, right.
ROI, you were having sales and that kind of thing. Keep doing what you're doing, because you'll find the person that's going to say yes eventually. It may not be, and that's the thing. You have to set realistic expectations, right? We have expectations, we have goals. Yes. Would I like for my goal of selling 3 books a week minimum? That would be fantastic. My expectation is to sell books in general. Like, they're different things. And so your realistic expectations will make all the difference, and not giving up to meet those expectations. Does that make sense?
Oh, 1,000%. You said something real, 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 real. I don't want people to miss what you said, right? You hit the number 7. You said that you have to, like, let's put this in baseball terms, get to the plate 7 times, swing 7 times, right? And on the 8th one, you should connect, not a problem. And so, authors, another reason that you're maybe feeling close to burnout and being overwhelmed with, especially when it comes to your marketing efforts, is because you're not talking enough about your book. I want you to
Mm,
do a favor. I want you to go look at your TikTok timeline, your IG timeline, wherever you are making your home at digitally on the social media place, right? Look at many times that you have told people that you have a book for sale, that you have something to offer. If you have more trend videos than you have offers, there's your problem.
Mm.
If I don't want to ruffle nobody's feathers, but if you have more videos when you're doing trends, right? Because if you're exclusively and it's cool to do a trend and get in front of people, but you need to take that and translate that into, it has to coincide with your book, it has to coincide with your offer. And don't think that you're talking about your book too much. Jennifer
Mm.
just told you, they don't even see you until 7 times. They don't even pay attention. They're like, oh, you talking to me? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You you come on my page every day. I am talking to you. Think about it. When you go into a store, you go into Walmart, right? St. Patrick's Day was 2 days ago.
Mhm.
At the end of the last holiday, whatever that was, right? Oh, here we go. At the end of Black History Month, as soon as the last day in February went away, they had up green stuff already. They didn't wait. They knew the next holiday. They don't need an excuse. They don't need permission. They know the next holiday is coming. I don't need a reason to make this sale. So, authors, you really have to take that doggone mindset that no, you don't need nobody's permission. I'm wrong. I just lied. Please forgive me. Look, the hard work that you did, I'm cracking you up. The hard work that you did is the permission that you gave yourself to talk about your book every day, all day. The hard work
Mm.
that you did, that hard work has to pay off. And so don't get me wrong, it's nice to get the likes, it's nice to get the shares, it's nice to do a trend because you think it's cute. Not a problem. But you're doing yourself a really big disservice, and you'll definitely will face burnout if you're not at least making that attempt about to talk about your book. Just talk. It doesn't have to be something fancy. Just I got a book, and you can go to these links, you can go to Amazon, you can go to my website, but make the offer.
Oh yeah, how are they gonna know? And I am notorious. Like I love Amazon. I shouldn't, but I do. Like I feed the machine. It is what it is. Just sue me,
Oh, we
whatever.
got to talk about that. Oh,
Um,
another podcast we definitely have to talk about, because like I'm not anti. Like, okay, look. So we'll do. First of all, I apologize. I cut you off. So hold it.
it's
Pin
fine.
that thought. Don't lose your
Okay.
train of thought. Please
Okay.
don't. I am not. I'm not anti Amazon. I'm not. I just believe that, okay, if you're not making at least bare minimum $50 a month from Amazon, you should go wide, and then and this is, y'all can take this with a grain of salt, or you can just keep. I love Amazon, but Amazon is not in the business for self-publishing authors.
Right.
They take too much and they give too little. You gotta go wide. And because you control the product, you get to, or you should, hike your
Mhm.
numbers up on Amazon and sell low on your website. So if they go to your
Oh yeah.
website, you're going to get a sale, and you get to retain the buyers. You get to retain the buyer's information. If they don't know and choose and trust you to go to your website, but they still want your book, they're going to go to Amazon. Guess what? You didn't jack the price up on Amazon. It's the same thing that stores do.
Yep.
If I'm
Absolutely.
wrong, I'm gonna be wrong by myself, but I just had to get on my
No, you're
soapbox
right.
with my tired
And
self.
I'm with you. Like as far as self-publishing is concerned, Amazon does not care. They don't care. They know that they have the tools that self-publishers need to get out there quickly and easily. They don't care about you. They don't. They do not at all. But at
Right.
the point that I was going to make, like, and your rant was so
I'm
good, and I was like, this is totally just going back like 3 steps. But I love shopping on Amazon, is what I should have said. Is that I am an Amazon shopping addict. If I can add to cart and have it here
okay.
in 2 days, I'm like, and that is what I do. It's how I live my life. My USPS lady hates me because like we even got a bigger mailbox so that she can just stick our Amazon packages in there because she was tired of getting out and coming to my front porch. Okay. So anyway, I love shopping on Amazon, but I am also an avid add to cart, but I never buy it. It just sits there and I stare at it. And do you know how many times it probably takes me before I finally land on I'm going to actually buy now? But that's the same thing with an author and their book. There's probably somebody out there who has your book in their cart and they've been sitting there staring at it, and they're eventually going to hit buy now. Give them a reason to hit buy now by continue. Like you said, you have to talk about it. If
That's
they don't
good.
know you have that
That's
book,
good.
they're not
That's
going
good.
to hit buy now. They're going to be like, I don't really need this. No, make them want it. Make them need
Right.
it.
That's good. That's truly good. I do feel for your post lady and her back problems that you've
And
caused.
also
Like,
probably Rob's wallet. Like,
oh,
Rob,
your husband's one of a kind. Your husband is,
you
I
have
love
no
Rob.
idea.
I probably one of a kind, right? Yeah. So love isn't cheap. Love isn't cheap, people. Love is not cheap. I promise you. Love is not cheap. Anyway, but You can't quantify love. You can't, right? That's
That's
right. My
right.
doggone pockets is looking. Yeah, my pockets is looking like rabbit ears as we speak. Not only raw, but it is what it is, right? It's too
He
late.
knew what
You've
he
been
was
married for
getting
night.
into. He knew what he
So
was
did
getting
I.
into.
So did like right.
Mhm.
Whew, Jesus, I need a drink and I don't even
I'm
drink, but
sorry.
I
I just
digress. It's all right. It's fine.
derailed.
Oh no, 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 no. Like it's but you great banter makes for great podcasting. But long story short, trying to get us back on the tracks here. Yeah, it's all right. Burnout, you can avoid burnout by doing a few simple things.
Mm,
Rest, setting realistic goals, and planning before you
mm,
get to the selling, right? You got to have a plan in place. You have to okay, you have to know the why of your book. Like
mm,
what is it that you want your book to do for you? And I don't want you to be shy. I want this book to make X amount of dollars. I want to sell this many copies. Whatever it is that you want that book to do for you. Do you want to use that book as a lead magnet? How many times do you want to have your book exchanged for an email address? You have to be uber specific on what you want that book to do for you. Because
mhm,
if you go into writing a book and not knowing what you want that book to do for you will burn out because what you'll do is you're writing the book and you get towards the end about to publish, you have no aspirations for the book because you never
mm,
established what you wanted it to do for you. That's and I meant to get that in earlier, right? But we were so lovely derailed. But once you have that established, you take at least bare minimum 50% off the overwhelm off of your shoulders because you know exactly what you're doing going
mm,
in. And I know that's hard for people that fancy and I'm one of them, right? I am more of a pantser than planner,
mhm,
but you can't afford to be a pantser when it comes to marketing. You can't afford to make it up as you go along trying to sell your book. You can't afford to. If you do that, I promise you the results that you currently have will be the results that you always have.
Oh, yeah. And let me piggyback on that with I am when it comes to writing, I am a pantser all the way. But when it comes to life in general, I am a planner. I have like multiple types of planners for different parts of my world. And I have to-do lists that go for every day. And I think one of the things that happens if we're not careful, we can let it happen, is we expect to finish every to-do list perfectly every single day. And sometimes life happens and you can't do that. And so then we wake up the next day and we're like, oh crap, I'm so far behind, it's not even funny. Here's what you need to understand: just like the day started over new, you're going to start over new. So don't think of it as trying to catch up on what you didn't finish before. Think of it as I am creating a whole new to do list for today, and that task is just going on that same list for the next day. Just start every day with a clean slate because that will do wonders for your mental clarity and your productivity to say, brand new day, brand new task. I've never seen this task before, even though it might have been on the last 3 days worth of things. Now, if it's a goal that you have or you have a deadline, by all means, you need to work towards it a little faster. If you're not getting done by the deadlines, like you need to reprioritize some things.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another key word there is to reprioritize if you need to. If you're not finishing things on by deadline, take a really good hard look at what you are doing and what you're not doing and maybe flip flop. But start each day as a
Facts.
new day, and each task that wasn't finished, it's a new task. It's not an old task that didn't get finished. And that's something I have to remind myself of because it's very easy to be like, man, I didn't finish that. I really wish I had. And then I get down on myself and I'm like, oh, I got to spin my wheels harder to get done more in one day. You only have so many hours a day to work. And mentally you
Right.
only have so many days that you can't so many hours that you can be productive, so you have to be careful
Yep.
not to push yourself so hard that what's the point anymore.
Right, 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 right. So, authors, do yourself a favor. I think that was great advice that you gave to Jen. Don't beat yourself up. You're human. Your expectations need to be realistic, first and
Mhm.
foremost. Secondly, you need to go into this thing understanding that this is new to you, right? And stop
Mm,
judging your current your where you're at currently to somebody's end game, to somebody's end
mhm,
results. That's another way
mhm,
that authors face depression, they burn out because they're looking at that this person has all these great reviews on their book. This person is really blowing up on social media, looking at these authors doing all these wonderful things. And I think we said this before in the previous podcast. You're looking at somebody's highlight reel. You didn't
mhm.
see their struggle. Like you're currently
Yes.
in your struggle. If you're in your first book, you're struggling. Second book, you're
Mhm.
struggling. Third book, you're struggling. Fourth book, possibly still struggling. Fifth book, you should be turning the corner, but if it's not and you're struggling, it's okay. Nobody, it's not really a given time frame on when you're going to
Mhm.
blow, but what I can guarantee you, you won't blow if you stop.
That's right.
It won't happen. If you stop, it won't happen. Another bit of advice I want to give as we bring this to this great episode. I've never laughed so much. Thank you so much for the giggles today. But another thing that you got to keep in mind is bookstores, Amazon, and the like dictate when your book gets pushed down, right? They dictate the shelf life. If
Mhm.
you're writing in a genre and that genre has, lack of better numbers, 2-3 million readers, that means you really don't have an end to that shelf life of your book. That means you've yet to be discovered.
Mm.
Like, just, it's all right to reset. It's all right to recalibrate. It's all right to launch a new marketing plan. It's all right. It's all right.
Definitely. Oh, we went into Books a Million Friday afternoon, evening. And when you walk in, like the first one, two, three, maybe four different shelves are literally tagged hashtag book talk, right? And it's all of these really popular authors who have struck out on book talk. Here's the thing, what you're not understanding is that, yeah, they may be on book talk, but I guarantee you there's money behind their marketing. And as
Mm.
a self-published author, you, unless you are independently wealthy, which if you are, good for you, I am not. And so that is one of those things that you can't go in and just automatically assume your book is going to end up on that shelf. Yeah, they might do some of the legwork, but I promise you, like some of those names, you do not see them specifically on Book Talk. They have other people talking about their stuff for them. Okay. And whether they have paid for that or have offered, like, mm, that did not just happen organically. And so do not try to compare yourself to what you're walking into the store and seeing, because that is not reality for us starting out self-published authors. It just isn't.
No, it's not. But, and that's a great point, by the way. But the beautiful thing about by them getting there, if you choose to go, and there's nothing wrong, that's just another form of marketing. It's just another form of marketing. But do yourself a favor, don't look and be envious of that. And I'm talking to authors who may see that and feel a certain type of
Mhm.
way. Reach out to them and find out exactly how did that happen. If you have the money
Mhm.
to do that and you're willing to spend that money on your then as well, but you have to decide like what's important to you to get to that point. But like you said, don't see that and think this is all that you have to do. No, no, there's much more than that book being popular that it made it there.
Yes.
Much.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you. I'm sorry. I'll give you a great story. I was my very first book. Pardon me. I was like, the numbers didn't reflect social media wise to what they reflected in the street. Like, I was that author that would had book loads in the back of my trunk, and I would get off for work, and I would drive to nail salons, barbershops, any place in DC, in urban DC that I knew that my book would get over at. I was there. Like, my man, a good friend of mine was like, "Man, I see your book all like your book is littered because I had that passion to." So if you're going to set great goals or big goals, you have to have that passion and work ethic behind it to match those goals. If you're not going to do that, if you're not, then you're not going to get that result. So with that being said and
Yes.
whatnot, once you start to plan, ask yourself, are you willing to do the work to meet that plan? Make out a plan that you know that you're capable. And then, like Jennifer said earlier in the podcast, you may have other obligations, wife, mother, job. You may have all these obligations that stops you. That doesn't make you a bad author. That means that the game's going to take a little longer for you to execute. But stay consistent and please, by all means, keep going.
Yes, because if your car is doesn't have gas in it, it's not going to go. And so you have to have whatever the driving force is that pushes you forward. You have to want it, honestly. It Nobody's going to do the work for you. Nobody can sell your book like you can either. I don't care how many advanced reader copies you send out. I don't care. That's better than anybody else. And you know the audience that you're looking for, you know who you wrote that book for deep down, even if you do struggle with those keywords and target market. I may or may not be talking to myself, but I've gotten better and I have learned some things. But that's nobody knows. where that book needs to go better than you do. Now, how to get it there? Find people to help you along. Find you a literary success consultant and work hand in hand with them. If only I knew one of those. God, that would make my life so much easier if I just knew one of those. But find the people that you can have in your corner that can help you take that next step. If you're not sure what to do, work with somebody to get there. It's not going to cost you nearly as much as it will cost you to not take the step and do the work.
I could not said it better than that. So with that being said, and being as though you're not really a guest, but you're a guest in this instance, I will let you close the podcast. What advice would you give anybody that has quit? Like that,
Oh
I'm
my
done.
gosh.
I'm not seeing the return on all this work I've done. I give up. Like I've thrown in the towel. What advice? And I promise you, we're gonna close the show on that note. But what would you tell them? Because they know they have more to. They want to give more, but they're stopping because they don't see the fruits of their labor yet.
So honestly, the one thing that has made the biggest difference for my productivity and my ability to stay on task and to keep the motivation that I need is I've had to evaluate. This is what I spent some of last week doing, was evaluating my expectations, evaluating what it is that I want out of the work that I do. Do I want to hit a #1 bestsellers list, or do I want to write and tell stories that make their way to people? What is it that I want out of my life, out of my
Hmm.
hobbies, out of my whatever? And then go back and break that down into goals that I can work towards and achieve. Because, like I said, they are two totally different things. You've got your expectations that may or may not be met, but goals can be met. So break it down from there and then work towards those goals. And if you've quit, stop it. Get back in there, do the work. Nobody can tell the story that you have to tell except you. So get back out there and don't quit.
Okay. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard Jennifer, right? So if y'all haven't noticed, we usually take turns playing good cop and bad cop. I think that was her attempt at bad cop, right? Like she told y'all, suck it up, buttercup. Suck it up. You signed up for this, right? Like how Rob signed up to be married to her, how Nikki signed up to be married to me. You know what it is. Like you want to call yourself an author. This is what comes with it.
That's right.
But long story short, yeah, I really can't say much more to that or add to that. Like just keep going. If you really want
Mhm.
what you want, it's no time frame on it.
Mhm.
It's going to come, but you just got to keep going.
Yep. That's it.
You got to keep going. I don't care what it looks like. And okay, you got to keep going. And if you do feel that you are exhausted, rest. And there's no
Yes.
timetable on you rest, but make sure that you eventually get back up and continue your author journey.
Yes.
I am DK Walker. This is Jennifer Carr. We've had a great time today. God knows I haven't laughed this much on the podcast in a very long time. Jennifer, before we get out of here, plug where they can find your book at, plug where they can find your workbook at, if you don't mind, please.
Sure. My book and my workbook that I have, which is a character development profile workbook, can be found on jcarwrites.com.
Cool. Look, I appreciate y'all stopping to it. Y'all could have been anywhere else in the world, but y'all stopped to it. To me personally, that means the world to me. To spend time with me and Jennifer means a lot. To hear us give our opinions and laugh in the process. Do me a favor. If you enjoyed this podcast, and you listen to it on Apple Podcasts, pardon me, make sure you leave me a review. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you good people next week.
This episode of Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast has ended. But please be sure to subscribe for more literary strategies and tactics to help you create the profitable, successful author career you've always wanted. And don't forget to rate and leave a review so we can continue to bring you the best author and book-related content. See you on the next episode.